What's up, peoples? Now, as you notice, this episode is starting off a little different. We felt that our regularly scheduled programming should be put on hold for at least this week. That way, we can address the important issues, the important injustices that are at hand, and really start a dialogue rather than just have emotions, but also come up with some solutions and be there. So I invite y'all to sit, have a drink, and think about what we're saying. It's important. Thank you for listening. Like this situation is just kind of like watching the whole world realize how desensitized they were, and, still are. I feel how desensitized I was to all the things that had happened. Kind
Yeah, yeah, I agree. There definitely is the people are desensitized to it. And I think social media is to blame, even though it is even though social media has been how I've been finding out about a lot of the protests and seeing what's going on in other places. I feel like for somebody's murder to be posted over and over again, it is being used as entertainment, to
right.
some people. You know, I uh I don't know. I'm like I told y'all that 2 weeks ago or earlier this month when I can't remember his name, but the young man got shot jogging down the street.
Ahmad
I
Aubrey.
could
Right.
yeah, Ahmad. I couldn't even watch that. Like I'm sick of seeing that stuff.
Yeah. What's up, Roper? What's up, Christian?
What's up? What's up, my brothers? For
Like,
those of you that
Roper,
don't
I'm
know, this is
Eddie.
a
Nice
really
to
dear
meet you.
friend of mine, Andre
Oh, okay.
Roper. A great man, entertainer, dancer, phenomenal person. And I brought him in today for him to be a part of the conversation because he also was on the was at the downtown San Jose protest. It was actually interesting. When I left, he actually ended up showing up and pretty much took over and was amazing. So he's a very smart, insightful young brother, and I just wanted to bring him to the Hadcast. So everybody, to welcome Andre.
Nice to meet you.
What's up, brother?
I think it's the first time I ever called you by your first name. It's so weird.
When I hear my first name, it just goes one name out the other.
You're like, am I in trouble?
I just said Andre.
Yeah, man. What you guys leave off right now? I heard you talking about basically how people are basically just posting the video over and over again.
Being desensitized to the racism that's happening in the world, and
Yeah.
all the things we've learned about. I remember learning about it in school, and people would look at me as we're reading it, and I'm like, what?
Well, look at it, man. This is whatever we learned in school. This is coming to fruition. I feel like this is real life slavery now. Now people can see exactly what's in the books, but like the real stuff of
Right.
what's going on. I personally, I don't like seeing the video. But you know what? There's a lot of people outside of our color that need to see it. And the reason being is that people can talk over and over and over and over again. And we can go look at it and we can go protest and all that stuff, but nothing has been done. What I've noticed, the fact that I was talking to Anthony about this a few days ago. The fact that we went through all of this in one lifetime and we're all young is mind-boggling. Like the fact that we're going through stuff that Martin Luther King and all them they marched for us to go and do all this stuff. And the fact that we're still reliving racism, but around other people that are used to call that they're calling us like friends and, oh, that's my brother this and my brother that, okay, well, where are you now that we watched somebody just get murdered, publicly hung, if you want me to be honest. Just because you didn't hang them by a rope doesn't mean that you didn't hang them, because that's exactly what they used to do. So my thing is, how do we change it, and how do we address it? I've taken a full different approach on how I've been talking to people, because when you're ignorant, you don't want to listen. And I've seen that time and time again. I've seen a man. I went on one of my friends' page to see what she wrote, and it was beautiful. Went on there to kind of, you know, give her like not gratification, but like let her know like you're standing up for something that is right, and I believe in you. And then she has all these other racist friends that are coming in there, diming in and putting all this stuff. And one individual in particular, he was like, I think he was like 70 years old. And he was just going off. And if you go to his page, he was like, Trump supported this, Trump supported that. So you know where his mindset is. He's not going to have nothing good to say. And I came to correct at this man in the best fashion. I kept asking him, with all due respect, you know, like if you're sitting here having all this stuff to say about, okay, what about this cop that got killed? And what about this black guy, this other cop that got killed? It's like that has, listen, it's wrong. But you didn't address my true question. Hold on. You didn't address my question when I was talking to him about, okay, have you looked at any documentaries when it came to Black Wall Street? Have you looked at any documentaries that pertain to the struggles when it comes to people in prison and how much those people are getting paid? And those are actual slaves right now. You're sending them out and fighting fires and doing all this and that for like chump change. And meanwhile, you're literally putting these people in danger. And like, we've been through like so much. Like, I wanted to come here with a little bit of something like that was on paper, and I just stopped at 3. There's 6. I stopped at 8 names in the past 10 years that have been killed. And there was a whole list of people that just kept dying and dying and dying and dying. So I think for us, and what we're doing right now is smart, and we're handling it in the best fashion. I feel like there's other people out there right now that are not out there for us. They're actually capitalizing off of our pain. And they've been doing that for a while. And now you can see it because now they got cameras out there. So I think the best thing that we can do, because I don't even want to say pissed off, but it's like, you keep calling us thugs and stuff. And I had to address that to somebody today. It's like, I'm not no thug. I'm actually a person, even though you're a different color of me. If I saw somebody treat you and put you in harm's way, I would fight that person, or I would make sure that you're okay. But why can't you do that for us? Like, what is it about Black people that people fear? And I don't know to this day, I don't know what it is. But my question to all of you is, how do we approach this in a standpoint? So when we are out there, if we are going to protest, how can we get people to understand that we're trying to create change without violence?
I'd like to dive in on that one. And I'll say this, I already had this very big talk on my Instagram already, about a 30-minute speech of just how I felt immediately when I came from the protest. Mm-hmm. And something I really wanted to push is I kept talking about love and positivity, mm-hmm. right? And then something that I noticed being out at the protest was everybody's yelling. Now, think about this. If somebody's yelling at you, what are you automatically going to do?
Your guards up.
Guards up. You're going to shut down. You're going to block out anything they have to say, because a lot of people only hear emotion. They don't hear the words, they hear emotion. And what are they going to face that emotion with? More emotion. Mm-hmm. So there's not going to be anything being able to be solved because all they feel is raw emotion. And some people don't know how to take the emotion out of the words and listen to what they're saying. And I learned that from my coach. Because there was a time when I was getting yelled at, I was getting cussed out, I was getting mistreated on the mat, and all my teammates seen it, my coaches seen it. And then one day I was just like, you know what, forget it, I'm done. I quit. Ain't nobody gonna talk to me like this. My parents didn't even talk to me like this. And my master instructor, a Black man, Master Tony Thompson, he stopped me and he said, Gooch, listen. Take the emotion out of the words and listen to what he's trying to tell you. I don't agree with how he speaks to you, but listen to what he's trying to tell you. Not everybody's trained to do that.
No, I agree.
So I feel if somebody can figure out and learn how to do that, or just learn how to take a step back and talk, or stop, not just being confrontational, but have a solution. Because everybody's got so many questions, but nobody's coming up with making a think tank for solutions, right? And I'm saying this because I was sitting there in front of the mayor, Sam Ricardo. sitting in front of him, on one knee with him. And there's a lady yelling at him. Well, you. And his eyes, I'm looking at his demeanor. And he's like, but what did I do? And then they say, well, aren't you going to speak? We want to hear you talk. He said, but I'm not here to talk. I'm here to listen. Because isn't that what everybody, and then like, when he said that, I was like, isn't that what we've been saying for the longest time? Why don't you listen to us, hear us? Now he's trying to hear us, but now they're trying to force words. And I'm noticing that it's like we have lost the way of communication a lot of times because of the anger and the hurt. And I get it. I'm not saying it's displaced. I get it. But it's just we have to figure out how to control that so we can finally get our message across. But that's the thing. That's the biggest question. How?
Well, Roper, you kind of said it like right on the nose. You hit it right on the nose. Like people are capitalizing off the struggle that is very real for all of us.
Right.
Every single day. These people that are living out their fantasies of what it's like to be in a riot, what it's like to cause damage just because they want to. And then there's others that are looking at it as an opportunity to push their own agenda, to push their own things. And I was I was posting something out there like, they get mad at us for how we demonstrate. We don't know how we should be protesting. We don't know how we should be approaching this. And it's pretty much, I keep coming to the same thing is, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't.
Yeah.
For trying to find that middle ground for people to understand what the struggle is, I mean, it's unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, it's shit like this. But I mean, where we all come together, sit and have this talk, but it takes those people sitting and listening to what we're telling them, when we are having these calm conversations, because Omega, you're correct. People are screaming at them and all you feel is anxiety and nerves and tension. And yeah, your guard goes up when people are screaming at you. But at the same time, we've been talking calmly for a long time. So I wonder how do we I guess balance the two. How do we balance between this is not all right, like in having those conversations and the handling those hard emotions that everyone is having.
To piggyback off what you're saying, I don't blame people for yelling, screaming. I really don't. There was a man laying on the ground, screaming for his life, begging for his life, and his mama. Like, you know what type of position you have to put a grown man in for him to call for his mama?
That's sad.
And yeah, and how many peaceful protests have we had? Like, here's what my mind is. We could have a calm conversation with with anybody, and if they they'll listen, and it's usually somebody that's not racist that wants to help. But the people who are racist, they don't care. They know what we want. We've been saying it for years. We want equal rights. We want to be treated the same. We don't want to be killed and have to deal with police brutality and all of the stuff that we're dealing with now. They know what we want. The problem is that they don't care.
Yeah.
And 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 when I talk to my uncles who grew up in the, at the tail end of the civil rights movement, the way they think is some of them feel like we wasting our time because they didn't change back then. Why are they going to change now? A lot of them have the mindset is we need to stop playing defense and play offense. That's why you see a lot of older men out there who are egging young black men on to burn stuff down, and set the police department on fire and cause in chaos, because they know when they had a peaceful protest, how it ended up. Yes, I hope that this generation is more evolved and they support us like they say they do, but we got to remember that racism is not genetic, it's taught.
Right.
You know, these people are racist before they even get to kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? Before we get a chance to engage with them and let them know that we're just as human as they are, they're learning that we're not. So it is definitely an uphill battle.
I
Yeah,
agree. I agree, man. Like, and I think the difference between Omega and I, we were talking yesterday about it. That like the difference now is that we have social media. We've had social media at different times, but the way it's been used in the past 2 years alone has shown that cancel culture and outrage culture is a powerful tool. And once we showed that machine, we threw that into the machine, then it got around everywhere. I had someone comment on one of my posts today. They're all the way in Iran, and they follow me, and they're like, we the people of Iran hear the struggle that our brothers in America are feeling. We're sorry for you, and we're here for you, and we stand with you. you know and it's like you don't get that kind of international connection through just television. They can't phone me up personally, text my cell, like, and be like, hey, like, we're in New Zealand, we stand with you, we're dancing out here, I hope you know that. Like, now is this age of communication where maybe just maybe this might be that space where the whole world stands up against it, like like we did once before, when white people were getting prosecuted and murdered all over the world. you know Jewish people getting
Yeah,
put
but
being
I'm
put
woo, buddy.
trafficking.
Before you say anything with them, man, that's the, the funny thing with that is there's a lot of actually perfect example. You worked in bar mitzvahs, Omega's worked in bar mitzvahs, and I'm sorry to say those are the number one racist people out there. I'm sorry to say, and this is just me being completely honest. They keep their money circling around their community, but still have something to say. There's a lot of people that are like that, and the fact that you went through a Holocaust, you know what it feels like to have your whole race to go through like a whole genocide, and you don't want to stand up, because that was the first thing that I learned when I was in elementary. The Holocaust this and the Holocaust that. Well, how come you didn't tell me like where I came from? Why is it that black people, when they come here and they don't have no voice, they don't have no second language? I don't know what my identity is. And that's
Mm.
nuts. That's been ripped from us for a while, So sorry to cut you off, but like that, and I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying all Jewish people are like that, but there's a lot of them that I know that capitalize off of what black people go through, and as far as our culture, like the way we dress, the way we talk, and
It's the
yeah,
reason why everyone who's not black is racist to some extent, because it's systemic. Like,
yeah,
it's as Eddie said, it's taught.
yeah,
It's
it is.
taught to us at a young age to know that you are feared, to know that you will be discriminated against, to be told as young as 5, 6, 7 years old that you need to be careful, that one day you're going to be seen as a threat, and that you need to be as docile as possible. Ooh, that goes back to the first episode of being, castrated, castrating us, taking away our power, our voices, you
Yeah.
know. Cranberry, go ahead.
Man, those are great points, man. Especially what Andre said about you would think that a group that was oppressed under Hitler would have the same compassion for others. But I think the thing that we're fighting against is, in order for, so make sure I say this right, for Black lives to matter, to have equal rights like others, ethnicities, that means they're going to have to give up some of their power. Is that something that they truly want, to do? It's nice to say it in money and it's nice to say it on social media, but in all actuality, is that something you want to do? Now, social media has been great, and I kind of feel like what Ed said, old people are saying, like, peaceful protests don't really get you nowhere. If we look at the history of America, looting, burning things is how things happen. After MLK's death, all that rioting developed the Civil Rights Act. My question is this: how can we change systematic racism when there are banks that are profiting off of police brutality and Wall Street? So we have police brutality bonds that therefore the cities have to pay for. Investment are getting paid via interest. And when an officer loses a civil case, the public has to pay for what they did, but also the banks are gaining interest because the banks know that the police department really has money to fight this. So are the banks going to be willing to stop this because it'll stop some of their profits?
It's all about the money, you know?
Woo.
It really is. It comes down to it. That's why people want power.
Yeah.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's what they want. They want that absolute power that they continue to have. Trying to have a conversation with a middle-aged white male. Not all, because I have friends too that they're sympathetic, they understand, and they're part of the struggle and they're there with us. But then there are those that are a little more bullheaded when it comes to this kind of conversation, you know, where even if we're having that sort of conversation about, you know, how everything is going, you know, how it's affecting us. And it goes back to what I said before of like, people aren't going to care about something until it directly affects them. And they're caring in the way where they care about their money. They care about their power. They care about their status. Because when that is threatened, that is the first thing they go to. But when ours is threatened and we're standing up and saying it to their face, that the same thing you just said, we're saying, why don't you hear it? Is because they don't want us to have, I'll rephrase that. They don't want to let go of the power they have in order to give us enough for us to feel like it's equitable. So it's a dark time, you know.
Yeah.
You know, to see that it's still there, like it's always been there, but to see how deeply rooted it has been, all these little things that you again, you read about, you hear about, you learn about, and then you're desensitized to because nothing happens. Nothing changes because we know it. You know, we try to fight it and then they squash us right back down.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you guys remember that movie, or not remember, but have you guys heard of the name of the movie Birth of a Nation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which one?
I saw the remake. I didn't see the original.
The original.
Oh.
No, I never saw the original.
The original's a black and white version.
Oh yeah.
That's how old.
Remake.
So we'll take it way, way back.
Mhm.
So think about this. Think about a movie that shows a white man in blackface pretending to be black, pretending to be, in that time, a Negro. And he's frightening. He's supposed to rape their women. He's supposed to be a big, bad, mean, like almost like the big bad wolf. And that's what they put out as a movie to depict us. We're supposed to be feared. Huh?
So that's what they believed. So they wanted to put
Yeah.
that film so the world could see.
So that's crazy to me that they can make movies upon movies about that. And then so many movies are being shown of us being slaves and being thugs and being so many things to where it's like you're seeing why we are feared. You're seeing why we are being depicted as such, and people treat us as such because that's what they are that's what they're always seeing all the time. And it's not even movies that they necessarily make. We make the same movies.
Yeah, BET.
You know, we make the same movies. And so it's like we are perpetuating the same stereotype that they keep talking about all the time. And that's what's hurting me. That's what's bothering me, is the fact that, like you said, man, there's like, how many Holocaust movies do we see now? Exactly. There's very, very, very few. There's been a few, but they've been documentaries in a sense, right?
Right.
But I mean, there's nothing that's going to be constantly talking about that or promoting it, you know? But we always bringing out some type of new slave movie.
Yeah.
Like, I refuse to watch Harriet Tubman. I was like, I'm tired of seeing the same slave movies. I can't do it.
What was it,
You know,
12
I'm
Years a Slave?
I'm not a slave. Yeah, I'm not a slave. I think that was probably the last slave movie I seen.
Same.
I'm like, I'm done with that. I'm like, I'm not a slave.
The last one I watched was what, Django?
Yeah. Django was the only one that made me be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get him.
Megan, question?
Yes.
I feel the same way, man. I saw Harriet Tubman, but the other two I did not watch. Is it, and this sucks, man, but I don't like to say it like this. Why is it that when we do these slave movies, I think I know why we're doing it, because awards are being won. Whereas 12 Years a Slave, they win an award. When we don't do those type of roles, it seems like Hollywood doesn't want to acknowledge Black excellence in the actor or the actress.
You're right. Yep. You're right. That's 100% right. Because, I mean, when did Denzel Washington finally get his award? When he played what?
He played
a criminal.
When he played a criminal, a crooked cop.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When did Halle Berry get her award? When she was telling Billy Bob Thornton to make her feel good.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's so terrible, but that's the only way we're being seen. But then when we have a lot of these Black movies being made that are putting us in a positive light, what do we not do? We don't support it. We don't see them. And I'm going the entertainment route because what we're always seeing is now what we're believing. So like when you're talking about, they were always putting up the murder clips and all those clips on social media. That's trauma porn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are getting off watching. I'm sick of watching that. Like I've already said, I don't want to see this anymore. I don't want to see somebody getting shot and killed. I don't want to see anybody getting wrongly accused and beaten and all that stuff. I don't want to see it. The only fights I want to see are in the ring or in a cage. That's really it. Mm-hmm. When I know they're making money and it's a sport and I get it. You know,
that, though, you gotta look at the history with fights too.
Mandingo fighting. I get it. I get it. That's why I don't get so excited when it's two brothers fighting each other. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Like, which Black dude are you going for? I'm going for the Black dude. Whenever it's a Black dude, somebody else fighting, they're like, "Who are you going for?" I'm going for the Black guy. I'll bet on Black.
Yeah.
But it's just really hard, man. It's hard. And then seeing all this stuff going on right now, like you guys are right. Like peaceful is done. You can't really do peaceful. So sometimes, yeah, we do gotta yell, we do gotta get angry. You guys are right. I'm not saying I'm wrong, but that's just my mentality of trying to keep it civil. But sometimes civil's gotta be over.
Yeah.
But I'm also gonna say this. Do you yell at everybody? Or do you yell at the ones that you're supposed to be aiming at?
I think because yell. Don't yell to be angry. Like yell to like have some intention and some voice behind it. Like at least bring some facts. Because that's the problem is that people they'll open their mouth and there's nothing coming out that's not going to be fruitful to that person that you're saying it to. So therefore they're not going to listen to you at all. You're already yelling at them, especially with anger. You can perceive or put it in front of somebody as anger, but you know, even how I was talking to the cop, I was a little elevated, but I was just letting you know, like, dude, like, what's wrong with you just getting down on one knee? You know what I'm saying? Like, put your batons down, be with the people. You know what I'm saying? But some people just got, and then like I see the young kids now. You know, there's some of them, the teenagers, like come on, bro, like just get the fuck on the ground, man. Just get the fuck on. It's like he's not listening to you. He is not listening to you, and I get your pain, but yeah, he's not listening. And
or the little white girls that are over there cussing at the cops, flipping them off, talking all kind of stuff, like they're mad ghetto, and then they're looking around, and then they all of a sudden start blowing trees right in their face. Yeah. I'm looking at them like, how are you helping the cause?
Yeah.
They're not going to hurt you. They're going to hurt me.
Yeah.
That's what they think it means to be black.
And that's, definitely.
That's my honest opinion. When I see people come to a riot that is for, trying to stop police brutality on black people, and they come and they start tearing shit up, it's because they think that's what they're supposed to do when they're around us. Like, I mean,
because the things that go viral are other black people tearing shit up, fighting, being just young and dumb.
But not lately. They've been pointing out the fact that it's been a lot of white people tearing stuff. I was watching CNN a couple of days ago, and the guy talking stopped the reporter and said, he's like, hold on, I want to point something out. Looking at Starbucks, all those people in there, you don't see any of them black.
Yeah.
Right.
Black people don't go to Starbucks.
Right.
We go to Peace Coffee. Come on.
Some water. When back in the day, we didn't have that. They would just say, "Oh, black people tearing stuff up," and you had to believe it because that's what the news said.
Right.
Now that that is the benefit of social media. I remember I mentioned social media being a problem earlier, but that's the benefit, is that you can see what's really going on from different angles, in all different cities, at the snap of a finger.
Right. And to clarify real quick, I just want to say, like, when I was referring to like what they're seeing is I'm referring to World Star, because World Star is riddled with just us acting foolish,
World Star has always been ignorant anyway, so
right. But that's what they glorify. That's what they make popular. That's what they make viral. That's what they take and think is black culture. You know, they see the hairstyles we have, they see the things we do, and they don't equate, trying to become a lawyer, trying to become successful, get up on your feet, start a business, doing things for the community, being kings and queens of our community. They don't see that shit. They don't emulate that shit. They just think what they think from just this one platform or what they've seen in the past or what have you. Yeah.
Well, they do have those posts on World Star. You will see them, but they're buried because there's all that other garbage going on top of it.
Yeah.
The garbage is what gets all the ratings, gets all the clicks. Everybody gives it all the attention.
Clickbait.
I mean, something like this right here is not going to get that much attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that to be honest. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're not going to want to, they may promote it, but people are not going to go to it. Why? Because we're not talking trash. We're not hitting with a bunch of brus and cuz and rogue and all that stuff. No. We're just having a sensible conversation about stuff. I mean, and that vernacular is cool when it is necessary. Right. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's crazy. Roper, you brought up a good point. You brought up a point, I'm saying, of how our entertainment industry is not very, you just call them out. You call them racist. I get it, right? Because I felt it. I felt it too.
You know what? I couldn't even post it because remember when me and this man went to a bar mitzvah, and it was supposed to be a dog's name, literally a dog's name, and it was a name tag, literally that literally said Blackie. It's supposed to be a dog's name, but you.
I remember this,
dude. Yeah, like when me and him saw that, we just looked at each other and was like, I can't even believe that this would be here. Like they don't even think that, okay, if I may not even want to put this dog name or this type of dog, that was the breed of the dog. I may not want to put this here because there might be black people here. They didn't even come through their mind. and we took pictures with that thing. And so, like, I'll be honest with you, like, I'm not doing nothing by myself this.
Oh, you're joining the retired world. Huh?
Hey, come on over,
You know what
brother.
I'm saying? All money is not good money, you know. And like, I'm not taking away from the people who put us on. Like the people who are actually like genuine and actually put us on are actually genuine people, and they're actually writing on Facebook like, you know, you guys are racist or you guys are doing some stuff that's like it's not good. You need to stand up, you know, and use peace. But everybody outside of that, and you don't have our backs, but you want us to go there and shuck and jive for you, and tap the kid on the head and stuff, you know, and do our little dance and get the whole party going, and women looking at us all drunk and stuff, and looking at us like a different like we're a piece of meat. It's like, I think I had enough. You know, not all money is good money, man, and it took something like this for a man to literally lose his life, for a lot of people to wake the hell up, and it's still mind-boggling that it should even take that. Like
that it's even a fight, that it's even an argument. Like, hey, you should have just seen that and been like, whoa, fucked up. No, change now.
All those cops should have been arrested immediately. But the fact that we're still sitting here trying to fight, the reason why we're fighting, because you guys think that it's nothing just because you killed one person, you know, let him leave his job, and you still give him pay. You still giving these people pay. That is disrespect. That you're literally, you should just take my face and just spit in it. You know what I'm saying? And just hope that I'm not gonna do nothing like that. That's literally what they're doing to us. And I think that's why the world is having enough now. You know, because like when I look at you guys, man, like I see my skin color, and I see people that I want to protect, but I'm like, it breaks my heart, because I'm like, how come the world don't even see us like that? And I'm not trying to take this from like other people that are outside of our color, like even our fellow Mexican friends too. Like there's some people in their family that are racist to black people. I'm like, dude, I think that's wrong, man. Like I literally don't know in my soul why we get this rap. You know what I'm saying?
It's not an idea, but if I had to take just an educated guess, I would say that it's because we were brought here. We didn't come here.
Yeah.
So in a sense, America feels like we belong to them, so they can do whatever the hell they want. Here's what first brought this to my attention. If you ask anybody in America, any black man born here, what nationality he is, most likely he's gonna say I'm African American. But if you ask somebody that's Mexican the same question, born here, he's gonna say I'm Mexican. Now, if you ask me what nationality am I, and I say I'm African, you say, oh well, you know. So
that last part you said, what part?
In order to, I would get asked what part of Africa am I from.
What part of Africa are you from?
Here I'm going with it. Right. So the point I'm trying to make is that for us, we, in a sense, they feel we belong to them. So we are, because we're African American. But if you take another nationality who came here on their own, not brought here, they can keep their name. They can be Mexican or Chinese, even if they were born here or not. But us, in order to be African, you have had to come from Africa, not be a descendant of Africa. So I feel like they feel we belong to them. I feel like other nationalities feel like that too. We belong to America. We are there.
We're still considered 3/5 of human.
We're there. I think that's the difference. I think it's why, even though a racist person is going to be racist towards to all races, but black people are going to get it the worst, is because that those people came here. We were brought here. We were their trash, their workers, their slaves. You know, so
yeah.
But Ed, I think you're onto something. We were here brought as indentured servants to build America for free. However, when we say Mexican American, Chinese American, those economies in their native country have high value. if we're just looking at the first world or first developed countries world. Now, for African Americans, Africa tries to put a big distinction on African Americans and Africans. It's
Right.
something like it's Africans don't accept African Americans.
Yeah.
So if I factor in that the place that I came from doesn't have strong economics behind it, and then I also have the new country that I'm in that doesn't value me, I'm basically have no one that can stand up for me. In order for me to have an economic war with America, the Black community has to have stronger economics. But the reason why America won't allow that to happen is because we're deemed essential workers with minimum wage.
I get,
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
I dig that. But also though, I mean, on the flip side of that too, what about the fact that, and we've talked about this before, we don't spend our money in our own communities.
Sure.
So how are we ever going to build if we don't take care of our own? And that's the difference between the Jewish community and us. They have their area. Everybody spends their money in their area and keeps that money there. They pull their money together. The Chinese that come over, what do? They all commune together and then they buy up facilities, you know, and that's just what it is. Most foreign, not just Chinese, but the foreign people that come here, a lot of times they commune in a household, they pull their money together, they buy businesses, and then they create, and they keep their money in their communities. Like how many of the Chinese, I mean, not Chinese, but the Asian markets have we seen? A lot of them, right? And everybody goes there. You know, we have the Latin grocery stores. They all go there. What grocery stores do we have? We don't. And the ones that we do have, do we go and support? No. I saw this poster. Yeah, and I saw this poster like a couple weeks ago actually. And it showed like a hot dog vendor. A white hot dog vendor said the hot dog is $3.75. This is why. And most people were like, all right, cool, pay for it. We'll pay for it. An Asian dude who's selling hot dogs. And we're like, well, why is it? Well, that's what the price is. Pay for it or don't. All right, whatever, I'll buy it. I'll give me two. You know, we'll still pay for it. Black dude is like, hey, hot dog's $3.75. Oh, bro, why is it so expensive? Man, why is that? Man, I can make one at the house and for even cheaper than that. Well, brother, I got to pay for all the same stuff too. So we're willing to give another brother the blues about their prices and everything else and not want to spend it there, but everybody else we're willing to. That's the social conditioning that we're all up under. And that's the difference between us, is that we won't help each other. We are still those crabs in a barrel a lot of times. And then when we do help each other, then we want to be like, oh, well, you see, I'm trying to support you, brother. And we make one mistake and we do one thing wrong, they got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I think another thing you got to keep in mind is that when people do come to this country, especially back in the day, they would get grants to build a community for themselves. You know, when they came here, we didn't come here. We were released here. So there was no grant, not that I know of, and not to the magnitude that the Chinese got or even the Mexicans got when they came here to start a community. You know, so it does fall on us eventually because we kind of left on our own to fend for ourselves. But at the beginning, you know, we didn't get the same handout that everybody else got.
But that's for two reasons, Ed. Black Wall Street being burned, the disbarring of the Freedoms Bank for free slaves. So those are two major things that really killed the African American community. And if we're just gonna, you know, we don't shop black, we don't even bank black. There's like over 6 banks in America and we don't even bank black. We go to Wells Fargo, Bank of America for all of these loans. How about we go to the black bank to get the loan to start the black business? But some of us are subconsciously thinking that the black bank is going to rob us or they're going to do something shady to us or shiesty to us.
It's conditioned.
Yep.
Mm.
For years.
Well, I mean, once Black Wall Street burnt down, we didn't try to rebuild. That's I think, I mean, obviously they couldn't, because if they did, they were just going to burn it down again.
Yeah.
But I mean, we didn't think to like put something together and to hold it within our communities and spread it amongst our community for a time in the future when we could, you know, if we took what we did then, held on to it until say even within the past 10 years, in the past 10 years, because there's been growth, there's also been shit, but there's been growth, you know, that we could try and do that again. We could try and build up a community like that again, but that would take all of us coming together in that way, you know, not the people, not act like the people who are rioting and fucking shit up, and not even fucking shit up, stealing shit just to steal shit because they want to come up on something, because they see this as an opportunity to. Because I know very well that like there have been moments where, you know, in my childhood where I was like, ooh, a moment of opportunity, I'm gonna try it. You know, and you know it.
But never have you ever thought about taking advantage of another race's hurt to steal something?
No.
That's sad. The fact that people
Yeah.
are doing that right now is
Right.
beyond me, dude. Like,
Right.
I can see if you go steal. Like, I don't condone it, but like, you stealing off of my pain? That's nuts, man. That's crazy. You don't give two shits. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's a
that's like
bar right there.
That's like crashing a repass.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh. I ain't never thought of it that way, and that's oof. That's
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
Man.
So check this out. So like, as of right now, what do you guys think that we can do? Like, I'm pretty sure some of you are probably going to be out there on the front lines and protesting, or you know, speaking up for what is right. But can we do to educate people who want to know? Because I've been hit up a lot after that video I put up. There's been a lot of people that don't know how to say anything, but they want to. So the first thing I was saying was education. Like, you have to educate yourself. I can lead you to the water. I can't make you drink it.
You drink. Oof.
You know what I'm saying? I can give you a full foundation, but if you don't feel it in your heart, if what you saw on TV does not make you sick enough to go and do your own research, then I don't know what to tell you. You know, I know right from wrong, and when I know someone who just died from asphyxiation on the street, and a man's looking at me in my eyes while he does it, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that man pays. And I'm not saying by blood. He's gonna find a way to go to jail.
Right.
You're gonna pay with justice, and that's all we're looking for. But that's my thing. Like what do we do besides educate people? I think that's the only thing that we can do. Like, I'm trying to figure out a solution to make people understand a little bit better.
It's hard because coming from us, coming from people like us, they're not gonna hear it. It's gonna take our allies explaining it to them.
Yeah.
Other people, not non-people, like non-black people, you know, being able to explain to other individuals what the situation is like, because they won't hear it from us. You know, trying to tell somebody that a response to Black Lives Matter of it being all lives matter, you know, is like if your house was on fire and the fire department came and watered everybody's house first, because all houses matter, but no, your house is not on fire. This one house is on fire. Please help us put out this damn fire first. And then plus that is the only way. That is the only way we'll be able to move forward.
Yeah.
You know, like and be able to get that for other marginalized groups. Because if you don't even see that there is this problem, you can't fix the problem. And we're being the loudest voice right now, and to capitalize on this voice that is being, you know, used, capitalize on it afterwards.
Right.
You know, support us in our struggle, lift our voices, make it heard, you know, educate others, push it forward till it gets across. And then after we've crossed that threshold and we've gained whatever it is we've needed to gain, it's funny. It feels painful that that's even funny to say, the abolishment of racism. Because like, can that happen?
Listen,
With how you see it sits and hides for many years? I mean, who here saw Black Klansman? Like the movie was clear. They're gonna sit, they're gonna be quiet, they're infiltrate, but they're gonna still hold their ideology. But they'll do it in their own community, in their own little thing, but they won't use the same terms. We can't beat thou outright with it anymore, is what they said. And you see that happening today. You have one of those people sitting in darkness in a bunker hiding.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't say it's all about Republican and Democrat. That's why you will not hear me saying that. And I mean, because everybody wants you to think about that. It's the Republicans, it's the Democrats. They're doing this, they're doing that. I'm like, nah, man, this is Joe Schmo telling me no.
You might as well say Crips and Bloods. The same shit.
Same shit, different gang.
Like, get out of here, man. Like, it's no party. It's an individual. It starts with one person. You know what I'm saying?
Starts with your household.
Yes.
Because outside of politics isn't in your house. Politics are the choice that you think is the closest thing to what you believe. But politics is not your house. Your house is not liberal. This is a Democrat house. Okay, so if you just say it's a Democrat house, that means everything Democrat runs is your everything. You mean you eat Democrat, you sleep Democrat, you poop Democrat, you take a Democrat. Get it? Yep, I did it.
Get out of here.
You know what I'm saying?
Dad joke.
I'm like, so like dad jokes. Give them up. It's like, that's not it. That's just a choice that you wanted to follow. That's an ideology. You're like, okay, well, you know what? I fall in line with those political views. But you don't have to push those on me. You don't have to look at me and say, just because you're a Republican, I don't like you. That's stupid. That's stupid. I don't care what you believe. If you voted for Donald Trump, so what? You voted for Donald Trump. Okay, I get it. Okay, we don't have the same ideals. Okay, whatever. But I'm not going to hate you. But you got to remember something. If you're not going to stand with me, you're standing against me.
Yeah.
Wait.
But I'm not gonna say I can't be your friend. We can't be cool.
Yeah.
You know, I know we only go so far.
So I understand people vote for what they vote for, but I think it's hard to be friends with somebody that supports the racist narrative of Trump, and for me to even try to talk to him about that, because this is not a normal presidential candidate. This is someone that you'd hate, and igniting the race war. So, like, if you voted for him in 2016, you made a mistake, that's cool. But if you support each and every move,
you made a mistake.
if you support move, that means you hate me.
Yeah.
I hear you on that. I hear you. I do actually have a friend of mine who is a minority at that, who was like a hardcore Trump supporter. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And he's constantly getting into it with everybody online about this stuff, calling people sheep, or not. He doesn't call people sheep, but he's like, you guys are claiming to be woke, but you guys are all woke sheep, and you guys are following it. I'm like, okay, whatever, man. But then when you see me, it's all love. But outside, I'm like, okay, well, that's your political views. I get it. But eventually, it's going to come to a term when you're going to be like, you're going to say something that you can't take back. He's going to do something that you can't take back. So if you're going to write for him as for this, but understand, certain things that he may do are not right. You got to claim that. But if you're going to be blind and follow blindly, that's when I'll have the problem. But if you can sit there and say, you know what, I voted for this person, like you said, in 2016 as a mistake. I'm not going to say it's a mistake because you chose to do it. But if you decide to vote for him, okay, fine, whatever. That's your business. You fell for it. Okay. But if you're going to sit there and be like, well, these people are thugs, and you start saying all that stuff, now I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah.
That's when I have a problem. If you can separate your political views from other things and see them for what they really are, okay. But if you're gonna muddle everything and say everything is political, every single bit of it, all times is political, that's when we may have a problem.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like everybody should live like that.
I have a question. Is he a black Trump supporter? Because those are some...
No, he's actually Filipino.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not black.
No worries, because the black Trump supporters have been mighty quiet.
Marcel is entering the room, by the way.
Oh, snap. Marcel Jones. Let me introduce my other really good friend, Marcel Jones. Is he in yet?
He's connecting right now. His audio is connecting
All
as
right.
we speak. Connected.
All right. 1T's connected. Marcel's, give me a hello so I can introduce you. All right. Marcel Jones is a really good friend of mine, a very highly respected martial artist in the Atlanta area. I've known this man for going on 20 years. I look up to him for not only his martial arts ability, but his highly educated mind. And I'm telling you, man, this dude is a great addition. So please, everybody, welcome Marcel Jones as well.
Welcome, brother. Appreciate it.
How's everybody doing?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty well.
We're staying up, staying above.
Most definitely. Is everyone local to California, in San Jose, or where you guys at exactly?
Yeah.
Bay Area.
I think predominantly.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm out here in Georgia, North Georgia, about 30 miles north of Atlanta. So, yeah.
So we've been diving into obviously everything, talking about what's going on in the world out here.
Sure.
We've been giving a lot of our own personal opinions, especially what's going on within the grand scheme of things, but also from the Bay Area side of it too. So is there anything that you feel like you can bring to the table from your end? I mean, being in the southern state.
Yeah, there's a constant everywhere in the country, regardless of what it is, right? There's a constant presence of a certain type of commerce or culture. I've talked to a lot of, friends over the past few weeks, and, the messaging was like, oh, I couldn't live in the South. I don't know how you do it. But, I could say the same thing last year when, the cop walked in the apartment, the wrong one, and shot the guy in Texas. I don't know how you can live in Texas, with the populace of people and things that are going on. Or, I don't know how you do it on the West Coast. It's expensive. And you talk about the LA riots and lots of things like that. So the thing that, done a lot of internal, reflection on is, just how each individual relationship, is entertained and, speaks to me, So a lot of people are saying, I don't have the answer. I don't know what to do. And I was having a conversation with a mutual friend of ours, Gooch, yesterday. And I said, if every single person, this generation, previous generation, said they don't know what to do, they don't know what plan they should develop, I wouldn't frown upon that statement, right? Our generation, this is our civil rights movement that some people have said. There was a generation before us that encountered the exact same, scenarios and situations, and that the results were the same as well. So if the generation before us, our parents, encountered this and weren't apt enough or organized enough or knowledgeable enough or had the resource acquisition to develop a plan, how are you going to put that on their adolescents, their offspring? You see what I'm saying? And then the generation before them, they weren't able to get through certain Jim Crow laws, or even the generation before that, they weren't able to push through, slavery at a specific point in time. We talk about 400 years. It's a long time. That's a lot of generations that weren't able to methodically develop a plan and execute it. So I totally understand, even though it's 2020 and technology, communication, right, interpretation, learning, development has increased a certain amount. I totally get it when people of color, not of color, of any particular ethnicity say they don't know what to do, because clearly you have no historical or legacy evidence that has occurred that is proof that this is what you should do. We know 1 + 1 = 2. There's generations and millennia that taught us what a digit is and a modifier, and we learn our math that way. We've yet to have a strategy or plan that has been designed and implemented and has been successful of satisfying a specific group, specifically Black people, or a culture. And So the thing that's taking place right now, I do have a couple of like statements. I don't know if these are going to be successful or not, but there are, we've never hit that. I've heard, the pensions of police officers, right? People aren't scared of being terminated, or having their jobs lost because their retirement, their pension's intact, right? So there's certain things from a financial standpoint that haven't been addressed, or certain financial sanctions aren't able to be applied and administered. So I think those are some things that we could, bring to the table, for the most part.
We were talking about that earlier. How they're, the cops shoot somebody in the street and they get sent home and they're still getting paid. That is a really huge point. Like, how can we rip that away from them, or like stop that? Because I between all of us, that's not fair. The fact that you still have that security, but this person that just lost their life.
Yeah, I think global policy needs to happen. It's like that in the military. The Army is the Army. If you have a dishonorable discharge in the Army, you're not joining the Army again, right? It doesn't matter where the base is located. If you aren't able to follow constitutional laws, local, state, federal, etc., and you are terminated because you weren't able to adhere to those or administer those appropriately in a state like Georgia, you shouldn't be able to move to Florida and do the same thing, right? I think there needs to be more global policy, global rules and regulations that have to be adhered to. Every state has different laws. They vary, but we have one United States and we have a federal, landscape. And I think that if you're not able to work within those constraints and limitations for, civic responsibility, then you shouldn't be able to perpetrate that to the other 49 states,
What do you guys feel about governing our own people? Because how we hear about being tried by a jury of your peers, but then when you get in there, it's just a jury of all old white people that were able to do this and they love jury duty, or the corrupt police or what have you. Who polices the police?
My charger, sorry.
Like what do you guys think and feel about like us having our own presence in these areas of government, of law enforcement that actually that are there to govern these people, and say like, hey, like, are you actually doing things for, are you actually doing these things for, the cause, or are you doing it for your own personal gain, or, keeping people accountable, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So for me, on its face, it sounds like something that could be plausible, right? Makes sense, like our people, my people, right? Acting, judge and jury. But then I think if you take a deeper dive, we are purposely going to detach ourselves and segregate ourselves from the country, right? So if we say our people, we're like, we need to define that. So what are you saying? People of color, a specific ethnicity? Are we going to say, people that are first, second, third generation, Americans? Because there's not every Black person identifies as African American, and not every person of color identifies as Black, because depending on African American studies or where you go, some people think that Black or Negro, right, or Negro, is a derogatory term, so we have to define what our people are. And if our people, for example, let's do the hypothetical, our Black people that are going to be the ones serving our community, then we just told white people that, we have a stark, distinct difference between one another and we're not able to coexist, right? So is it that we're competent and capable of only policing and governing Black people? What if they're, now we won't be welcoming the courts for the white people, and like, oh, you shouldn't be here. Why? Well, you elected to only govern your people. By definition of doing that, you show that you're not capable, competent, or you should be legally allowed to police us, right? So, and I think if you do it just based on color and culture, one thing you miss is competency, right? Who's to say just because somebody is like me, they're like-minded, and right. So on its face, it's like, yeah, I have people that really know my struggle, right? But, Barack Obama is considered the first Black president, but he is literally 50% white. So does he not have the cerebral capacity, the mental, physical, spiritual, and cultural, awareness to have certain communication with the white community? He grew up with his white mom and white grandma and only experienced a very short, brief period with his actual father. And I don't think that it would be a logical statement to say he's not capable of governing and policing white people in a certain way when he was already 8 years of our president,
Right.
So
Right.
I definitely think we should have more presence in specific areas, and that more presence should be people of color.
Yeah.
But I don't believe we should holistically separate and segment ourselves, because that means that we are,
Like
creating something that we tried to remove, 50, 60 years ago.
Right. Okay, well, let me take it one step further then.
Sure.
What if then would you say it would be better if we had a governing body that was there to I laugh because we have that, to keep checks and balances for human rights, but of actual human rights. They're like our own separate governing, not like separate governing body is like, oh, we govern over the people of color and you guys govern over the white people, but I mean to make sure that it's being implemented and I guess just spread throughout the communities the way it should.
In a certain level of equality, sure. Some colleges do it well, some don't do it right. The Harvard scandal where the Asian community was actually, suing Harvard because of affirmative action. They felt that certain Asians were getting certain test scores of a higher degree and they weren't being accepted over people of color, specifically Blacks, who had lower test scores. But there's a mix in the public and private sector of collegiate studies where they definitely try to have certain, equality of culture and ethnicity. If we had Congress, Senate, or certain political sectors of our government where they were like, hey, you know what, we have zero representation from, people of Asian Pacific, backgrounds, and we have so many of them in California, Hawaii, and Samoa, right? We probably need to put a pause on that and, have some more candidate pools that have this culture. Hey, we don't have any female representation in general. We don't have any Black female representation. So there probably is a way to, create diversity within our political structure, and be very overt with it. Say, hey, we need this color, we need this sex, we need this geographic region. I think there may be hesitance though to put that on paper and adhere to it, because once again, what if somebody of any particular race, color, or background shows and proves they're not capable of holding that position, and you want to replace them? Are you going to replace them with somebody that's like-minded or like skin colored? Like, what is that? But I do think the discussion should take place, and I do think there's probably a way to logically and, digestibly apply it.
Well put. Welcome, Richard. But yeah, go ahead, Cranberry.
Great points, Marcel.
Sure.
I think that would be good, but I think it goes back to the old phrase, all skin folk ain't our kinfolk.
Ooh.
So if we have the people that represent us by our skin tone, that's cool, but a lot of politicians are paid for. So therefore, if you're financing me to get there, I have to basically create policy and orders to support who's funding.
Lobby,
So now my second thing would be, what if African Americans start buying politicians?
I don't. So when you go into that, we talk about being unbiased, right? I think it'd be hard to objectively say that we did not, inject bias into the discussion if we're buying anybody of anything, right? Buying an opinion, buying a strategy, even if we're buying a plan that won't get executed. Like, that's why you have open bids in the professional industry, right? Bid for the job, right? Yes, there's money and profit tied to it, but we're going to first have an open, bidding structure. And I think when you start buying politicians, and you specifically say Black people bought this person, there's an entire, I don't know how many millions of people that would say that initiative isn't global, doesn't help my community. Clearly, you bought that person, but that doesn't mean though that there can't be certain organizations, profit or nonprofit, that could be designed and developed and implemented that could have a certain strength. I think the 13, I forget the exact name, but it's that document is on Netflix talking about the incarceration of Black men and just the industrial complex of our judicial system, so to speak. And a good portion of that documentary talked about an organization that consists of politicians and people in the private sector that actually vote and discuss laws before they get voted on, right? So you have this super PAC of, people of certain influence. The private industries were a part of it. Coke was a part of it. And once it got out in the open that Coca-Cola was a part of it, they left because you had people that said, oh, I'm not going to support you, right? Cisco, the SYSCO, the food and beverage, company, they were part of that because they provide food to the jails, right? So it's like, why can't we have another organization of that size and influence that, we can be presented with ideas before they get voted on or the bill itself gets a final draft, so to speak. So we're going to opine on.
I'm just trying to figure out how do we get there, because, these are all really good ideas. And my thing is, I'm pretty sure that we've tried it before, but are we put in the background so we're not getting a step ahead? Because before you got on, we were talking about how we're always like, they've always wanted us just to be below, instead of like raising to the top and rising together. Like, do we do that privately? Like, or do we, that's where my confusion is, because these are really good points, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's easier said than done.
For sure.
Is that saying, like, are we trying to figure out a Black agenda, essentially? Is that what we're trying to come up with? We're talking about, like, are we figuring out a Black agenda so we know what we want and how to get it?
Two parts. Probably, yes, the Black agenda, but have an organization that can speak to and present or promote the Black agenda, right? So the thing is, there's an agenda for the country that is put in front of a body, and they talk about it, discuss it, vote on it. And then the politicians and private sector executives that are part of that body, they then lobby for it, right? So we're talking about something, a group of color, right? And influence that develops a Black agenda, discusses the agenda, and then presents or promotes that agenda to people of power influence. I don't think we have enough of those. We have a lot of non-private and a lot of racial and social organizations, but
then they eventually get labeled as terrorist groups or radicals or what have you.
Like this group that I'm talking about from that documentary, they were represented by companies, right? So Coke was a company. We have two options in this country, Coke or Pepsi, right? Ice cream, you want Breyers or Mayfield. When these companies are representatives, that covers the whole global landscape, so that's something that we get in.
It kind of reminds me of the story of the apartheid in South Africa. How, what was it, what was it, Houston? I think it was Houston. They all band together. Correct me if I'm wrong, but where they all band together and addressed it and was like, hey, Coke, if you don't pull out of South Africa, that we're going to show you our power in numbers of our spending, hit you where it hurts in your wallet. And they did that, and Coke immediately pulled out. And
yes, no, you're correct. Right company, right country. Yeah,
right. And it ended the apartheid. But
yeah, they stayed on a little too long, right? They're like, hey, you're supporting financially a structure that we really don't condone, and kind of can't say you're not aware of it, right?
Right.
But but once again, whatever that entity or organization was, right? They're, you know, a city, you know, a top 10, top 15 populous city saying that. But once again, you probably, was that a Black agenda or an American agenda, right? You know, who all in that city, you know, wanted Coke to do better, wanted a company headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. So you have some people in Texas wanting a company headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia to move out of South Africa. Was that a Black agenda, or was it just like, look, you know, that just doesn't align with our moral, ethical, you know, values.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we want to have people go to the kids' table for Thanksgiving. I don't think, you know, want to not invite people, you know what I'm saying, to the gym table all the time.
Oh man, damn.
You know.
Everybody knew what that meant too. That's why
That's the Black Forrest Gump. Can't sit here.
It's so funny because nobody wanted to laugh, nobody wanted to say that, but everybody could know.
But there was a Denzel Washington interview, and he was like, "That's culture." The reason why everyone laughed is because that's culture. That's your upbringing. That's your background.
Yeah.
Not race,
Right.
culture.
Yeah.
You know. And it was a Sirius XM interview, and they were interviewing him and the cast of Fences, and he was just like, "What do you know about that hot comb hitting that head, touching that?" And then everybody started like, he was like, "That's not race. That's culture."
Yeah.
You know, that Black, you're used to that, you know, hot comb on that hot stove. You know, that's your upbringing, that's your background. Yeah. Yes, you could definitely associate a race, origin, a generation, a geography to it, but it's your culture, you know. So
yeah. Shit.
Man.
Man.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, gents? How y'all doing, man?
How you doing?
I didn't want to interrupt. Y'all look like you had a decent flow going, so I was like, let me just, you know, sit on, grab a chair in the back, and just, you know what I'm saying, let what these brothers talking about. Nothing much to say. I was just taking it all in, to be honest with you. How are y'all doing? Y'all all right, though?
Good. We just can't see you, brother, and that is not a joke.
Okay, well, let me work on
darkness, everybody, darkness.
Darkness. Spitting. This might be a little bit better.
Yeah, there you go. Put the light in front of you. There you go. Yeah, now we see you. Northwestern.
Yeah, man. Chilling.
I thought you went to Prairie View.
Yeah, Prairie View was undergrad. Northwestern was grad. But thank you for asking. Yeah. No, man. Chilling. Doing better. Of course, you know. Of course, it's protests everywhere. And kudos to y'all that's, you know, supporting in any way y'all can.
Yeah. I
heard Houston had 60,000 today, which is cool. My cousin was just like, how they count everybody? You know what I'm saying? But you just throw a number that like stick and just like, yeah, I know 70,000, but that looks like 60,000 for sure. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But no, man, it's cool. I have a question for y'all, and I don't know if it's been addressed. How do y'all deal with the internal conflict of knowing you want to go support, but for whatever reason or whatever obligation you have, you can't?
May I go first?
Please, by all means, because we just talked about that yesterday.
So we did, because so yesterday I had called Richard, because like, you know, I was doing my rounds of the day of just like calling my people, checking up on them, seeing, you know, how they're doing. I realized I was like, Omega checked in on Richard. I haven't checked in on him in a while, and so I had to reach out. But like when he picked up the phone and I said hello, Richard goes, "Are you all right? You sound like you aging." I'm like, man, I feel like it. And then after that, I called Omega and we were talking about it. But like, I've been struggling with this, you know, like ever since everything kind of popped off and you know, protests were going on. I've had this call and drive to be there, to be out there, to be on the front lines, kneeling with everybody, being with my people, not letting my people bleed and cry and hurt alone, you know? And I have this duality inside that's been happening, because at the same time, I also have tiny humans here. I have my family here. You know, I need to stand my ground here and protect them in case people start acting stupid and taking advantage of the struggle and the cause, and deciding to come up on some shit from other people, you know? And so I sat out I sat outside the past couple of nights, just in my front yard, um, you know, having something in hand, just waiting, because I heard gunshots in the distance, you know, because people are going fucking crazy. And I'm just kind of like sitting there waiting the whole night, and I'm feeling stressed out, and I'm feeling worried, and I'm feeling sad, and I'm feeling angry, because I don't want to see another brother. Like, fuck that, fuck the meaning that we use it of, like, oh, like, oh, black people, you my brother. Like, no, like, another human being call out to their mama, crying in pain, watching the life leave their body, knowing that it could have been any one of us easily. Because that man was a celebrity. He was an entertainer. He did shit we do, but it didn't matter because he was black, and the person who knew him didn't like him. You know, and so I have this like urge to go out there. At the same time, that urge to be Papa Bear and protect my own. So after talking with Omega, because like I broke down and I cried with him, because I couldn't take it. I couldn't take that feeling like I was doing nothing but sitting at home fucking posting on Instagram. What the fuck? I don't even like social media. But then after a while, I couldn't be quiet on my social media. Like, I have a following, I have a platform. I want to use it, but I don't want to just use my platform. I want to be out there. I want to be out there with everybody. I want to stand up for my brothers, for my sisters that are being abused and hurt every single fucking day, that goes unnoticed. And if I could pinpoint the feeling that I felt the most, it's helpless to help.
Appreciate you, Z. Appreciate you, man. Let it all out. It's all good. We here. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna call you ugly. If you gotta let the ugly cry out, go ahead. I don't know if anybody else wanted to jump in on that before I get in on that.
I do. My kids are a big part of it. Like he said, my family is my first priority. I need to protect my wife and kids and make sure I'm here for them. Another part of it is that, I do have a lot of anger towards this whole situation. Um, and I always think before I do things. I always pay attention to what's going on in my mind. And like when I think about protesting, like I don't think about going out there and marching. I'm thinking about, let's charge the police like the Avengers against Thanos' army. Like, because if you think about this, like, I'm starting to feel like it's not really a protesting type of situation, you know? Um, yeah, in a protest, people yell, we have signs. That's the way a protest is supposed to go. But this is like a war. In war, people die, and people have been dying. And unfortunately, it's only been us. So um, uh, I was always taught when a bully hits you, you hit him back. And yeah, I know I sound kind of reckless. Like, who's gonna get up and just go charge the police? Um, you know, but how are we gonna get them to stop? You know, we can like vote and do all of that stuff, but all it takes is one racist cop to kill me or you, any of y'all. And at that moment, none of this protesting stuff matters to you because you dead. That's the mindset I have. And I think I asked y'all this in the text. Like, if y'all were George Floyd, what would y'all have wanted the people to do that was standing around filming? Right? Wouldn't you want somebody to risk it, risk getting put in handcuffs to save your life? And then all the looting and stuff, like I get it, but why not direct all of that towards the people that's hurting us? I honestly do not feel bad that they burned down the police department or that they burned down the police cars. Like, I have no sympathy for that. I have sympathy for the businesses because those owners might not be racist. They don't have nothing to do with, with all of that, but I get it. Anger is anger. I just feel like it should be channeled. And when I think about protesting, the anger I have is channeled. And I don't want to go out and do something stupid that's going to put me in a position to where I can't execute my main objective, and that's to protect and provide for my wife and kids. So as much as I want to, I don't think I'm at this point, I don't think I'm mature enough to go out there and only talk, yell. And then on top of that, I've been seeing the way that the police have been acting towards the people who are peacefully protesting. I seen the dude in San Jose a couple of days ago. He's mugging people. He's calling women out their names.
Mm-hmm. That dude's gone.
I'm not good.
They got rid of that dude.
Yeah.
They got rid of him because we were looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That's what's keeping me in the house.
You actually said a point. I was talking to my homegirl yesterday about this, and when I went out there, I actually went out there without even thinking. I literally just like, you know what? Like, it was so crazy. I woke up that morning, and I had like a fire inside of me when I left the house. I immediately just put on all black and left the house, and I didn't know where I was gonna end up, but then somehow I ended up there and stuff happened. It was like it was slow enough, but it was so quick on how it happened. And I'm gonna go into a story and you guys can like really understand. But my friend, she told me straight up, she was like, you know what? She was like, you're bigger than me, Shell, because I have a lot of anger inside of me. She goes, and I don't know how to use my voice. And immediately, if someone talks to me sideways, or especially what's going on now, just like she said, she's like, I'm just gonna throw hands. If I got it bad, I'm gonna beat somebody. She was like, and I commend you for having that type of patience. And I was letting her know, I was like, you know what, that patience was very hard for me. I'm not gonna lie, because after I ended up out there, I was telling Omega about this yesterday, or actually no, the day of when this happened. And my friend, or not my friend. So once we go there, the line. The police line was right there, and I was like, I'm just gonna go straight to the front without even thinking, no nothing, not even thinking like, what if they just like, 10-4, line them up, like it could have happened, I'm not saying it would have went down to that route, but I just immediately went to the front. And the crazy part about this whole story was when I went there, I totally forgot that I had other friends that were police officers, and out of all the chances and anywhere that I could be in that line, there was like, how many were there, Omega? It looked like, what, over 50?
It's enough to say they covered 2 blocks.
It was a lot.
Straight line, a single file line from 4th Street all the way to 6th Street.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, and they were linked. But for some reason, I want to be in face-to-face with one of my good friends who was a cop now. We ran track together. We broke bread together. We went out together. We've laughed. We've cried together. And to see that moment happen right in front of me, that was the most surreal experience I've ever seen in my life. And I think that if I would have known that he was going to be there, I probably wouldn't have went. because I would have never wanted to face him. But something pulled me out of that house, landed me right in front of him, and we both felt it, because even later that night, he wanted to pick me up, and it was like, I wanted to hug you so bad, but I couldn't. I have a duty, you know? And I think that's the bigger thing. That's the biggest thing that I'm looking at too. Cause like, you know, we all know, not all cops are bad. You know what I'm saying? But when you wear that uniform and someone does something bad, you look just as bad as them if you don't stand up for what is right. And that's the reason why everyone is so angry right now, is that because it keeps happening time and time again. So I get it. If some people can't go out there and be peaceful, not saying you're a bad person, but if you know you can't be peaceful, just stay home. Especially if you have a family, because that's the last thing your kids want, or, you know, your girlfriend, your wife. You know, we're bigger than that. You know, we're all grown ass men. You know, so we have a duties, and I feel like my duty in that moment was, shit, I ain't got no kids, no nothing, so I'm gonna go ride for my people. But Omega knows this. I used to be an angry person. Like one of those things where someone said something, man, I'm just popping off. And I did taekwondo, I did judo, you know, like I used to love it, but I think as I got older, I lost that aspect of what that has taught me, and that being in that type of field of martial arts, it just teaches you a lot about patience, and I had to go back to how it was when I was a youth, you know, and as I am as an adult man, you know, I'm 34 now. Is that the way to act right now? Because if I punch somebody, there's going to be somebody right behind me that's 15 years old and like, okay, you know, he's going to do it, so maybe I should do it. And I think us leading by example, but being in the right time, because, hey, right now, not Marcel, was it Eddie? I think at one point, you're going to, hold on, am I talking to the right person? Yeah, yeah. I think at one point you're going to go out there. It may not be now, but I think maturity is a thing, and it's a choice in the mind. And when you know you're not ready, the fact that you even pointed that out, that's actually signs of maturity. And I commend you for that, because a lot of people, they just react, and that's why we have riots, or we got other people out there just looting and getting stuff off of our pay, you know. So I think we have a duty as Black men, but just men and individuals, human beings, to just set an example, because I'm pretty sure people have said it right before us. Nine times out again, the youth, they watch. They're like sponges, man. They see us smoke weed, they gonna smoke weed. They gonna see people be on the street doing coke. They gonna be doing coke. They see people fight 24/7 or gangbanging 24/7, and that's introduced, and then nothing is corrected. Then yeah, you know, the march is gonna be a little different. It's gonna be led by a war full of dummies instead of a war full of intelligent people. You know, so I commend you a lot for even saying that, because that to me that takes strength.
And I 100%, I back you. I agree with you on that. To Z, I do want to say, you doing this is you being on the lines. You're creating conversation. You're opening the lines of communication. So don't feel like you're not a part of. Just because you're not physically out there in front of the police or in front of the people doesn't mean you're not with the people.
Mm-hmm.
You have young children that need you. And you can't afford for something to happen to them or you. So we understand that. The movement gets that. Your people understand that. We are precious commodity. The Black father. The father. We're all protesting off of the loss of a father. That's why you feel like you want to be there, because you can identify not only through culture and skin tone, but also through being a paternal person, being a father. You want to be there to support a father who was slain. And I get it. I wanted to be there. But fortunately for me, my child is of age to be out there with me. You know, but I would never, ever put her in harm's way. But I also wanted her to feel like she has a voice too. So I get it. But if you have a little kid, I understand it, man. If you don't feel like it's safe, don't do it. And it's not wrong. It's just you're using your mind. You're being mature. You're thinking about your family. And that's okay. We respect you. We love you. You are needed. You are necessary. So if you have to stay home and protect your home because you don't trust the community out there of people, then you're doing your part and you're holding down your home. So your kids have somebody to grow up with. Because right now, as I'm talking to you, I can hear the helicopters outside of my window. I can hear the cops talking on their loudspeakers outside of my window.
I am not here right now.
Same for here.
Right? Granted, yes, it's almost 9 o'clock. And sorry, Marcel, I know it's like almost midnight for you. But it's almost 9 o'clock. Curfew was 50 minutes ago. And that goes to tell you that there are people still out there doing their thizzle. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why things are going to be different. But if you do decide to go, I say go early. Don't go late. Go early. If it starts at 3, be there at 2:59, 3 o'clock. Stay for a little bit, see it, get it, feel the buzz, feel the energy. Do what you got to do. And if you feel like you got to peace out, peace out. I'm telling you right now, my head was on a swivel. I was not comfortable, but I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
I will tell you what I was doing. I was looking up in the buildings, looking for looking for snipers.
I thought I was the only one doing that. I can't.
Nope. I was looking everywhere for snipers. I was looking at people. I was people watching, trying to see who's the undercovers and who's saying what. I'm noticing that there's one guy wearing all black, face covered, head covered, everything, walking around with a GoPro. I'm like, I don't trust that dude. And I said it out loud too. And other people are like, I don't trust him either. Who wears those kind of boots? I was like, those ain't boots, but those are just some terrible ass shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm already seeing this. And I can tell when there's an organizer trying to be out there and lead the people, but then there's another guy over there trying to act like he's leading the people. But then when nobody's listening to him, what is he doing on his microphone? That dude's a cop. He's an undercover cop. Don't listen to him. He's trying to get y'all killed. FTP and all this stuff like that. Like there's another dude antagonizing. Mm-hmm. But you can smell the alcohol on his breath. So that's why I'm saying if you can avoid those type of situations, then don't go. If you really feel the pull to be there and you feel like you can be there comfortably and you can defend and protect yourself and yours, then you can go. But if you don't feel like it's safe, don't do it.
And where do you stay, if you don't mind me asking?
Me?
Huh?
Eddie.
I live in Vallejo.
Oh, Vallejo. Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Brother.
Well, I'm extending it. If you ever feel like you want to go, and you just want to, just support, but you don't want to go alone, I don't know you, but I'm willing to help, and I'm willing to go with you.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. That's just we're all in a fight right now that we literally cannot do it alone. Like you can't do business alone. I feel like when it comes to a Black community, this is a business of family, and we all literally just need to be there for each other. So I'm extending that. I don't know you like that, but I'm willing to. So.
I'll be there.
And I'm like, I don't want y'all to think I'm like the ignorant swing first, ask questions last type of dude. I grew up a martial artist. I believe in self-defense, and I think we're on the defense right now. It is asking a bully to stop hitting you has never worked.
Yeah.
So.
No, darn good analogy. But also kudos to the brothers that shared, because I think it's just amazing. One, Black people on the monolith, but like literally that one question brought about 3 or 4 different angles and point of views. You know what I'm saying? For me, Z, I'm like you, but as in feeling of helpless at times, but also finding other ways to help. For example, we all heard the phrase, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? And I feel like that's what gets it done, right? Of course, you don't got to be on the ground always. You can be here, you can be there, but as long as your efforts are going towards a certain direction, I think it's cool. So for me, just most of y'all know, the situation that's been happening. Just been in Houston taking care of the family. So my thing is, of course, I want to get out there and, make all the noise, make all the ruckus, make my voice heard. But I have a family that depends on me. Here goes the kicker. This epiphany didn't hit me till like last week. It was just like, you can't go. Literally just dropped them like a ton of bricks. It's like, you can't go because it's already a lot happening with you and your family, but also why give them, mind you, if anything happens, why give them more problems to deal with than they're already dealing with now? For example, and I don't mean to be heavy, but let's just talk about it. I don't want to have them scrounge up change to bail me out of jail. I don't want to have them to scrounge up change to pay for my medical bills. I don't want to have them to scrounge up change, don't want to say it, but I have to possibly plan a funeral as well. You know what I'm saying? So we just got through that grief. We're still getting through it now. And I can't afford to put that on them, but also they depend on me. You know what I'm saying? Just like I depend on them, they depend on me as well. And so I've just been doing what I can while I'm here. So I found other ways. Like today I donated to the Tribe, which is like an independent journalism company that a friend of mine started in Chicago. Tomorrow I'm gonna donate somewhere. You know what I'm saying? The day after that I'm donating somewhere just to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Also, I'll send y'all the link. I told y'all about this one podcast I do, You Had Me at Black. So we're doing a resistance episode and like they legit tossed me the keys and just like, you driving it, let's get it done. So that's my effort too, you know what I'm saying? Getting these stories out there, making our stories heard and making sure it's out there for the world to see and like listen to, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm doing. But honestly, it's crazy time with COVID still running wild, racism forever gonna run wild. I'm doing what I can indoors. It's definitely an internal struggle, but it's just way too much happening right now for me to happen. Even people that has nothing to do with the cause, innocent bystanders, going to the hospital. I saw somebody like lose an eye, you know what I'm saying? And they coming back with like bruises that they didn't ask for. You know what I'm saying? They're literally asking for their voice to be heard. They're asking for justice. But, the heat of the moment and, the police thinking otherwise and believing otherwise, they're walking home or, with injury that they didn't ask for or didn't intend to get. So like y'all, there is some internal struggle. But I mean, I just, do wish y'all the best, man. I know it's tough out there, but I know we're gonna make it a day at a time.
Yeah. What I want to say to that is,
thank you.
Like, just know that we are a specific generation, but we're in a specific era, and every era has different mechanisms to provide momentum and movement, right? So, it may be semantics, but nobody should think that like they can't be out there, because that type of language implies that you aren't in control of your actions, right? If you can't do something. I think just be confident in your convictions. You guys have made strategic decisions, to execute a certain way. And you let logic and rationale dictate those actions, right? And so I know you mentioned 60,000 people in Houston. It's a large number. Do you really think that it's more impactful for an individual to make it 60,001? This is not a question I'm asking to be rhetorical. Do we know any one of those 60,000 people's opinion on the situation? That's a large number, but do you know any of their opinion on the matter, their upbringing, their background? Do you know what goals and aspirations they have? But you staying inside and posting online, right? You just shared your opinion to how many people, even outside of the city of Houston, right? So because it's 2020, we have this technology, we have these communication methods. Just be confident in your convictions, right? And, try not to interpret you not being someplace as you can't be there, because now you're not in control of your destiny, right? Like when you have a family and you make a strategic decision to safeguard that family, like that's more than a plausible, an idea, right? But it's like by being home, staying safe, you're kind of ensuring you are available, right, the next day. And, they say like in sports, the best ability is availability. You can't show out if you can't show up. So, if you have some apprehensions, let's say you point blank, you have fear that you may be, like you said, unfortunately, deceased. You have fear that you'll be significantly critically wounded. And because of that fear, you make an alternative decision, an alternative action. Be confident in that conviction, right? And don't have regrets. Because once you start having regrets, then you start questioning your logic, you start questioning your future, you're questioning your past, and you're not being you're not being methodical in the present, right? So I think by being home, by knowing your personality, by knowing that you could be triggered by something, and having that analysis, and then choosing, right, to do, you weren't forced to do. Like, kudos to your cerebral activity, right? You're like, you know what, let me do this because I know how I will react or could react or respond. And I think what a lot of people are doing is they are letting the uncontrollables get to them. They don't know what laws and regulations can get put in place. Therefore, they're doing X, as opposed to you're like, I don't know what the result will be because I don't know what the result will be. Let me do something where I will know what the result is. Let me go to my family and sleep. I'll know I wake up in the morning. Let me go home and get online and communicate my message and be in a position to let people, tack onto it. Or you could just be a warm-blooded American marching with people and nobody knows your viewpoints. And you shouldn't also be looked down upon if you did chose to physically put yourself in that crowd in March, right? Just know that if you are making logical, rational decisions, and it's to make sure you're available to make righteous decisions in the future, that shouldn't be poo-pooed on at all, So.
Well put. Thank
My
you.
brother
Marcel.
just said poo-pooed on.
He did.
We are 12.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Yeah,
That was beautiful.
That's my take. My mother-in-law, 70 plus years old, and was out protesting yesterday. Didn't know, right? Here I am, 35 with my wife inside the house. We were working. I didn't know she was out. And I texted her. I was like, thanks for your, dedication and devotion to the cause. But please let us know what you plan on doing, where you plan on doing it. What's the cost benefit, or what's the value add if I have a mother-in-law who cannot physically, and I don't say cannot, is not able to defend herself as best as she used to. She's a black belt. She's a 70-year-old female black belt, who, lived in Massachusetts the last 30 some odd years from, the Baltimore area, living in Georgia.
Even 70 years old, I wouldn't want to catch those hands.
So just, but like I said, she was confident in her convictions, and I wasn't going to deter her from that. But I just wanted her to make sure that she informed and edified me appropriately, so that if and when I needed to displace myself and be there, I was, right? But I have no regrets from being inside the house. I have no kids, but my wife and I would like some, I have a job. I would like to have it tomorrow. That way I can donate, to a cause like you've done and like you plan on doing. So the strategy should, everyone has a different one, but we shouldn't look down upon ones that are different.
No, not at all.
Well put. And I appreciate that. I mean, because there is that feeling there of that helplessness. So, and you know me, I'm not quiet. So when my voice is out there, I'm gonna put it out there. But I did want to take a minute because we have been talking about what we can do, and I kind of want to address a few things that people can do that they don't know. I had posted something on Instagram earlier. It was, numbers you can call and text in. You can text Floyd to 55156, Justice to 668-336, and then enough to 55165. You can even call the DA, Mike Freeman, in Minnesota at 612-348-5550 and demand persecution to the other 3 officers involved in Floyd's death. There's, lots of things that people can do. They can go out there, they can donate to different groups. petitions, sign different petitions, the justice for George Floyd at change.org. A lot of the petitions that you can sign are on change.org or everyaction.org. But yeah. So,
and there's you can also donate to Gianna Floyd's fund too. We're also doing a donation for her. I donated earlier today. I will put it in the group. I'll text it out to the group so you guys know. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly everything. I don't want to be sitting here just staring at my phone trying to figure it out. But you can see the picture of the beautiful little Gianna and her dad, and you'll see that there is a GoFundMe. Sorry, it's probably all the light that's on there, so you can't really see it.
it's okay. I'll put the picture up for everyone to see on the actual video.
And yeah, that's a good one.
Be careful what you donate to, because
Yes,
there's a lot of cameras out there. So,
yes.
I only did this one because it was by a trusted individual. Only because I don't jump on GoFundMe's like that.
Ooh.
But before we move on, I do want to show something, and it was a little bit traumatic initially, but now I'm trying to embrace it.
Ooh. Big old rubber bullet.
Heavy shit.
Woo.
I have so many questions, but I'm gonna just wait till you finish.
So many people have been getting hit with these. So many people have been running or afraid from these. So many people have been put on the lines for these. And I'm showing you this because I want you to think about this too. When you do want to fight out there, there's not going to be fist to fist.
put it up like this. I want to see how big it is.
Ooh, that is a fist. Oh,
This thing is about the size of my pinky or my thumb.
That'll bust your whole nose open.
your eye out.
Yeah.
This thing
Break
is
a
huge.
rib. Break a jaw.
So, and I'm showing you this because I saw this on my walk with my family. We took a walk downtown, walking the dogs, just walking to go get some coffee. Walking by the college on San Jose State's campus, we found this. That made it real. And then to know the day that we went there, I was like, okay, there's nothing going on, nothing's bad. Finding out Roper was there, nothing was bad. But then finding out after you left, they started shooting these again.
I think that was right after my homegirl Kimberly. It was crazy. You were there, and then as soon as you left at 5:20, it was like 5:20 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up around the same time, and then we stayed there for 2 hours. It was like 7:40 about, and that's when she got there and she started preaching, or not preaching, but like talking to the cops. So it must have happened right after that.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
So that, and I'm showing you guys this to put it in perspective. You're going there with these emotions, and this is their emotions back to you. Be careful. My older brother was very upset with me for going. This is a man I truly respect with every fiber in me. And yes, it hurts that he would be upset with me, and I understand why. Because he doesn't want anything to happen to me. It would probably tear him up if something happened to me. But I also needed to be there. And I felt that call, I felt that pull. But I also remembered this. And it could not, and it could have happened. It could happen, and it has nothing to do with me, but I'd be the one to still get hit by it. There was a gentleman there talking to the mayor who had a bruise. This is a big cut. The bruise was about the size of this lid. Big. On his liver. He got hit. Flush with one of these bullets. All right. There are other people who've been hit. I seen a picture of a little girl who got hit. I don't know if she's a little girl. Could have been a woman. But she looked young. Hit. Right here. Split her forehead open.
Bleeding.
Blue eye. Black eye. I said blue eye. Black eye. So you guys got to be careful out there. And then somebody wrote this on my page. It said, better than a real bullet. And to me, I was like, it's not better than a real bullet. This is just as bad.
It can still kill you.
Yep.
If it's hitting the right spot.
Yep.
You hit somebody in the heart, in the exact moment while your heart is beating, it can stop you.
So be careful. Be vigilant. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. The reason why I keep looking behind me, because I feel like there's stuff I hear behind me. So I'm telling you, be careful. Okay?
What's up, Will? I saw you popped in. It's my nephew. Introduce our guests. We have Andre Roper. I mean, it's so weird saying your first name.
No, I seen the new faces. It was cool to see all. I didn't want to say anything because y'all were talking and everything like that. So.
Yeah, no, thank you. And then we have our brother Marcel. You're all the way out in
both of y'all.
Georgia.
Mm.
Okay, I have a quick question because I'm glad you popped in, Will. Because I wanted to ask this just because I saw a video about, you know, like the 32-year-old black man talking to the 46-year-old and then to the 16-year-old. And they were talking about, you know, like, you know, how old is he? 46, and he was doing that shit when he was younger, and he did it then, and now this 32-year-old is doing it now, and he looks at the 16-year-old and he's like, we shouldn't be encouraging you guys to be out here, you know. He's saying that, you know, what you guys should be doing right now is looking at all of this and thinking of a better way. Thinking of a way to fix this, a better way to handle this, a better way to get our voices out there, a better way to enact some change. Because, you know, they did it. They marched to Selma. Yeah, got civil rights, but that was only to silence some of it, not all of it. You know, it didn't fix everything. You know, but Rodney King riots, that shit didn't fix shit. Like, you know, we riot. What'd you say, Roper?
I said they did the same exact thing back then. Right.
Exactly.
Video footage, literally,
Yeah.
from cops just beat that man up like he was just nothing, and they all got off.
Right.
So,
and we're doing this same shit today. So what are we like? I guess the question I want to pose is, within that situation, I know you guys are also angry and upset as young people.
Absolutely, yeah.
But in taking that moment, what do you feel? I know you can't speak for everybody your age, but what do you feel could start that change within you guys, amongst y'all? Teenagers and teenagers alike, you know, the ones who are starting some of the problems.
Yeah. I've been discussing these this with a lot of people recently. It's all anyone my age is talking about, really. It's all anyone can like focus on at this very moment. And the thing really I've been saying, I feel like now is the time. And I remember watching that video and I seen what he said, but I feel like now is the time to be doing that. Now is the time to be handling this situation. It's not, because I feel like if we can't do it now, then what's our kids gonna have to? What are my kids gonna have to go through? What, not mine personally, but just this next generation. What are they gonna have to go through? And as far as when you said like the people starting, like there are people my age instigating shit, and I've seen it. There are people talking about fucking up the streets of Brentwood over here and coming to Antioch and messing shit up too, and just destroying things and stealing things and looting. And those are the same people that are doing their little TikToks to little rap music and shit.
How do you feel we can reach those kids and give them a better understanding?
The kids that are instigators?
Yeah, like, I mean, shit, any kid. Like, how can we reach the ones that are outraged because they saw what happened and they're like, okay, but also the ones that are like taking it and exploiting it, because education is important on all ends, whether or not you're capitalizing on the struggle.
Yeah, shit. I've been saying it like this. I've been saying violent or not violent, violent or non-violent, I support the shit regardless. So if you're gonna fuck some shit up to get somebody attention over this situation, I fully agree with it, because at this point it's something new that we haven't tried, and it's something new that needs to be done in order to get people's attention. So I agree with that. I also agree with the peaceful protests, because people are they're not so much taking and destroying things. I agree with both sides of it. And for the people who are just taking advantage of the situation because they see the violent protesters, honestly, it's I really I can't answer that, because I've tried. I've been communicating with all these ignorant people who just want to start shit, who just want to instigate shit, and you can't educate them. I hate to say it, and I hate to be, especially because of my position, where I'm in the middle of all this shit, and I'm trying so hard to just make people aware of it and educate people and be like, yo, you need to do this. Yo, you need to do this. Yo, you're privileged. You should be doing this. Yo, you're I don't know. I've been taking and doing the best I can to educate people. So it's funny that you asked that, because it's not working. It's not. For the people that are instigating shit, they have all this built up rage and they have all this built up like emotions that they haven't taken out on anything. So they see this shit that's going on, and they think, oh, it's an opportunity for me to let my emotions out, for me to go fuck some shit up because I feel like doing it. This isn't going to help. This isn't what you're supposed to be doing. And I don't understand how you can't see that what you're doing is wrong. Because it's one thing to be violent and protesting for the cause. I'm all about that. And it's one thing to be peaceful for the cause and doing the shit for the cause, for these people, for y'all, for this group of people that I'm seeing in front of me, for you guys. There's just no way of educating them. And it's really unfortunate, because you would think that you could. You would think that if you try your hardest, you can sit there and you can educate them on the situation, and that they'll actually take the time to listen to you, but they don't, because they're so blinded by all the chaos, and they can't take the time to see the beauty beyond it. They're not taking the time to see what can come out of this, what really matters as far as this entire situation that's going on.
Well put. I was thinking when you were saying that the educating them doesn't work. I mean, unfortunately, like that's our best weapon right now, is educating them, so that so that after all that education is done, when we get to the end of it, we could be like, okay, now that you've seen all this, you can ignore it. You can't ignore this any longer. You have to address this. You have to say that this is real now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, then there's that clear line. How do we move past that? And I don't ask that to just you. I'm asking that more to the group. I know we have limited time, but I'm curious on some like final thoughts for everyone. Like how can we move past that wall of ignorance in order to educate? I saw hella people hop off of mute just to answer this. but yeah.
That was ready.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, you first.
No, go ahead.
For education, I think that's great, Z, but it's like when we were in school, it's the Jane Elliott experience, where she taught the classroom, that Black people are treated differently. However, you don't want to be treated like them. And I think that was in the 90s. So I don't think as much of it is education. I think more of it's, I don't want to be put in your shoe, but I don't want to relinquish some of my privilege.
She did it in multiple generations. Yeah, I think the first time she did it,
That's
late
it.
70s, I think early 80s. And that's
Right.
where she got famous for it. And then she did another control experiment in like the 2000s. And the fact that she prefaced the entire control experience by telling them what the purpose was, and they still couldn't, communicate in a way. It's like she's telling you she's going to divide you. She's telling you it's based on race. She's telling you it's based on sex. You see this coming miles away, and you still allowed your emotions to get the best of you. But I did want to speak to your point, like, yes, education is the best thing. And I do want to speak to some things that I think are differently in a significant fashion than before. So to that Instagram video, first of all, like he was like, just 4 years ago, I was doing the same thing you're doing and nothing happened, right? And I think that was really, good to say, because it's like, it's not a subjective opinion, it's an objective one. He was like, I was doing the same thing you were doing after a similar incident. 4 year, an entire presidential term later, nothing material, took place, right? But once again, that's why I said earlier, I don't blame anybody if they say they don't have a plan, right? Because so many generations before haven't been able to implement one. But one thing that I've seen, I haven't seen every single city and every single protest, but I don't recall the face or the name of a police chief in Ferguson coming out, right? So I think that's one difference. Like New York, Atlanta, California, there's so many cities that the actual police chiefs that are supposed to govern their, policemen are putting their faces out there. That wasn't happening before. You just knew cops had a directive. You didn't see the person giving the directive. That's a big difference, right? Because that's a position that you're voted into for the most part, right? Some people are appointed based on internal struggles, right? Or internal structures, I'm sorry. So the fact that you have governors, the highest political position in a state, the governor of Minnesota publicly said, I believe it was murder. They should get arrested. The governor of Georgia didn't say that about Ahmaud Arbery, right? So you have the governor of the state saying it. He didn't say anything about Philando Castile 2 years ago in his same state. So you can't give a big round of applause and hand him a trophy, just because they make that statement, for the first time. But you have to acknowledge, I don't recall one police chief saying that's wrong 4 years ago, 2 years ago, or 10, 15 years ago. And the fact that they're saying it's wrong, they're taking off riot gear, some of them, they're getting on their knee and holding hands. It's like, there's drawing attention and there's provoking action, right? Just because you get people to pay attention to something doesn't invoke material change, right? These are actions that they're doing. They're saying arrest them. They arrest them. They still need to go through the adjudication process, right? So we're not gonna, start throwing confetti. But I do want to say something that everybody may not know. 2015, a 3-year plan in Minneapolis, St. Paul of $4.75 million was put in place to do community dialogue, de-escalation tactics, self-defense tactics, different community involvement, right? A 3-year plan. That was before Philando Castile, and it didn't work, right? So there have been some material structures put in place, and we don't know the success or failures of those, right? The Obama administration put that in place. That's a righteous act, right? But almost $5 million for one specific city in one specific state, and you have people coming to give this guidance. So the reason why I brought that up is I don't think we should treat politics like college sports and do one and done. 3 years is a significant time when you think about it to invoke change. $5 million is not a small drop in the bucket to have multiple initiatives, and it wasn't successful. but I don't think we should not do that again in a different city. I don't think we should not do it again in the same city, maybe more money, maybe different people, right? Who was the person that came in and gave the speech to the cops, right, on de-escalation procedures? Gooch, I was talking to this with Murata the other day, like professionals of an industry not often communicate erroneous actions, right? How many professional boxers or professional MMA fighters get in bar fights? Are they thinking about their money, or they have discipline enough not to take work, bring it home, or vice versa, right? How many NFL players are, tackling people like Waterboy out in the street? You see what I'm saying? So the people that are coaching these, giving these, speeches and seminars to cops on de-escalation procedures, have they actually been in a combative environment, where they've had to actually perform the acts that they're teaching and coaching? I think if somebody is a professional fighter, or someone who is has a certain level of subject matter expertise in self-defense, would know my knee and my 175 plus pound body on somebody's neck is probably going to cause asphyxiation. So maybe I'll get off. Maybe I'm so secure in my devices where we're fighting with them in the back seat. Why am I going to pull them out the vehicle? Why don't I leave them in the vehicle and close the door? Like he was already in the vehicle and they pulled him out, right? If you don't think that you have enough, physical prowess to defend your livelihood with somebody on their stomach, hands behind their back, handcuffed, like you shouldn't be in that position. I don't see people that Tony Robbins gives seminars to go off the deep end, right? Dr. Phil, not everybody may like his, tactics, but, the people that are infamous, right? Infamous at the highest level of de-escalation tactics, are they actually talking to the cops? I don't know. I would have a Navy SEAL talk to him, not the retired police chief from the 90s who was around when Rodney King was around, So that's my take on it.
Great points.
Very well.
Who's
Great
next?
point, sir.
Appreciate
I'm gonna make it really quick. I know we're tight on time. If y'all don't mind. To me, it's just listening and empathy, and I'll tell you why. Anybody else here had like a large number of white people hit them up this week?
Hello.
Yes,
Hi.
sir.
I was not expecting that reaction. And cool, like I appreciate it, but my thing is what I can't wrap my mind around. Why now? We've had literally countless examples that's been on video. Why now? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are y'all starting to care now when we've literally been screaming this for years? But anyways, now I feel like people are starting to see and empathize. Y'all voted this man in office. Now you see, we tried to tell y'all he's been a nutcase. Now they're trying to listen. You know what I'm saying? After they see shit's done gone all creek. They're like, oh, we tried to, this is literally the LeBron J.R. Smith meme. Just, we tried to tell y'all, you know what I'm saying? But y'all wasn't trying to listen. So now it's just like, okay, now you're listening. Now you're starting to empathize. Last thing I'm gonna say. Of course, I would love for just us and our people just do it alone. We need everybody. You know what I'm saying? Chris Rock said we 10% of the population, but 90% of the Final Four. And sadly, like, that's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need some of everybody. And I think ultimately, mind you, great answers by everybody. And I don't think anybody's wrong. But for me, it's just like, just empathy and just listening. You know what I'm saying? Stepping outside of your shoes and just realizing, oh, okay, yeah, white privilege is a thing. It is different how he's treated and I'm not. We can talk about it and shoot the I'm sorry text, hope you're okay. What are you going to do about it? So on top of listening and empathy, I need action. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, I'm going to be honest, y'all brothers, great guys. What is you and your, not y'all, but what is, the white folks that hit me up this week, how you going to tell your, racist uncle, hey, you need to chill out, that's not cool? How you going to tell the people that you associate with every day that don't look like us, hey, you need to chill out, that's not cool? hey, how about we hire some more Black people? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are y'all gonna do? Yeah, you can listen, you can empathize. What are you doing? What action am I gonna see? Cool, thank you for sending the money here and there. What actions are you gonna do? So I think action as well.
So that was actually a really good point that you were saying, because I've been getting multiple emails, not even emails, just personal messages and stuff and calls. But actually, yeah, I had a friend who was a little conflicted today because he's Asian and he wants to find a way to change. And he comes in, he just comes downstairs, and his dad and his sister are talking about the whole situation. And immediately he said the first words out of his dad's mouth was, "Well, that guy shouldn't have been there. That guy shouldn't have been. He shouldn't have been in the area." And the older folk, and I'm like, I had to let him know. I was like, you know what? You have to be prepared that he's never going to change. So you can present it to him. You can sit there and talk with him, and that's big for you. You know, the fact that it bothers you, that shows change. And he had to call me and tell me about it. So he just literally asked me right after, like in just the most emotional like tone, like what can I do to put myself out there? And I was like, you know, if you don't want to go outside, you don't have to. But if you want to educate people around you, you know, people who are willing to open up their minds, then that's doing enough. But you guys have to make sure that whatever you're doing is being fulfilled. Like this right now. No one put a gun to my head to get on here and politic with you guys, and you know, they talk about change. That's a choice, you know. So if people want to choose to get on a Zoom or go into a meeting and whatever it may be to create change, it's a choice too, you know. You can do it if you don't, you know. But going back to what everybody's saying, education, man. Like without that, you're gonna remain ignorant. That's how I feel, you know. I know what happened. I don't care about what happened in the past, because I can be like, oh, it didn't happen to me. But you know what? It affects my culture, so I need to go learn about it. So,
You know, if I could tell a little story real quick that relates to all this, you know, first off, Richard, I completely agree with you, and Roper, I really enjoyed that. I agree that people should be fulfilling about that. I fully agree with both of y'all. So you both hit that very well. I just wanted to say, you know, like I've noticed a lot of people that I'm friends with, my white friends, right? I've noticed they're all of a sudden just reacting to everything that's going on, like they don't walk around saying the N-word and shit when they be listening to music and everything like that. Like they don't joke about this shit. Like they don't like they're not the problem. And I don't know if it's them genuinely feeling bad and having empathy, or if they're just like feeling guilt. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, all of a sudden they all up on their stories talking about, oh, we with y'all, we stand with y'all, I support y'all, woo, right? And there are those people, and then I also have people that have hit me up asking about uncle, asking about my uncle, asking about Z, right? They're like, hey, I know you got black family. I know your uncle's black. Is he good? And I'm like, why are you asking now? I talk about this shit all the time. This is shit that I've been pissed off about. Cause I have friends that will be listening to music and shit, right? And they're joking and they'll say the N-word and they'll say it with the ER. They'll say it with the R at the end, and they're just joking around, haha, thinking that shit's funny as fuck. And they'll joke about being like, they'll make slave jokes, like all kinds of shit. And I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How is this shit funny? First of all, it bothers me because I got Z. I got his family. I support them to the fullest. That's my family. And I embrace that shit. So that bothers me. Because first of all, you're insulting someone that I love, someone that is a part of my family, someone that's a part of my blood, right? So how the fuck are y'all all of a sudden gonna go on your story and they even posted the little black screen today. They even and it's funny. It's just like bringing it back to what you were saying about how these people are reacting all of a sudden. I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot, so much, because I've always been the one that'll sit by and be like, yo, this is wrong, this isn't okay. How are y'all gonna joke about this? You guys can't say this word because of da 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 woo woo and how it was used in the past. And I've used it before. I've said that. I used to say that shit all the time. I'm not even gonna lie. Of course I did. At one point I did, because I didn't know what the fuck, I didn't know where it came from, and I didn't know what that meant. And as soon as I learned, I stopped. And considering the music I make and everything like that, that's y'all culture. It's your culture. I rap, I make hip hop music. It's your culture. I got braids. It's your culture. But I fully invite, and I fully embrace that. And it's not even just because. It's not even just because like, oh, I'm in love with this culture. It's because it's I don't know. It's just there are people that are, like I was saying earlier, the little skinny white girls that be on TikTok that I know that go to school, that dance to do the little renegade bullshit to their favorite rap song, even though they don't listen to it, they don't know it, they don't. And those girls, they're not saying anything. They're sitting there posting their selfies and their pics, and then you got these people that feel guilty, and then you got these people that are genuinely upset. But it's also sudden, because I've always been like, hey, what the fuck? Y'all don't see this shit going on?
What have y'all done lately? Right.
Shit like what? Y'all don't see this. And
Right.
they never have. I have a lot of friends that have just begun to notice, and I'm like, how have you not? I talk about this stuff all the time. How do you not?
Because those are called culture vultures.
I know people.
Those are culture vultures. They don't get the culture. They want to be a part of it, but they just want to take it for the good and the glamour and the fame that they can get. But they're not about the culture. They're just culture vultures.
Yep, there's difference from honor to.
And I'm trying to be careful about what I say, because I don't want to appear like that, especially because I got Z. That's my fucking uncle. That's my family. So I'm not trying to appear like that at all, right? So I'm in that situation right now where I go on my story and I'll say some shit and people are like, yo, what's wrong with you? You white. Da, 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 da. And they get on. I've had people attack me. And I told Z about this. I've had people attack me talking about, oh, you just trying to hop on the wave, bro. You just trying to, and it's not black people. It's not my black friends. It's all my white friends.
Right,
it's
because
all,
they don't understand. Like what I told you earlier when you messaged me that, you know, I can yell, hoot, and holler and jump around and scream and whatever, but they ain't gonna hear me. They're not gonna hear me.
I mean, and that's another form of ignorance. Just because you embrace the hip hop culture doesn't mean you trying to be black.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You guys hear the quote that Jay LaRose said earlier? He was saying he wished people loved black people as much as they love black culture.
Yes. Exactly.
I've seen that.
I'm gonna piggyback on that real quick, Marcel. Paul Mooney said everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. Everybody want to be down. Everybody want to be down for the culture, but nobody's trying to carry the burden that comes with being black.
Yeah. They don't want to put the sweat equity into it, for sure.
I heard it a different 100%. Way. I heard everybody want to be black, but don't nobody want to be African American. Black is cool. African American.
I like that.
It's ridiculous, but I'm thankful to have each and every one of you guys on to be able to have this conversation, because it has been a hard week. It's been I mean, let's be honest, it's been a hard life, but it's been increasingly hard, you know, the past couple weeks, just watching the struggle, watching the pain. That's mainly just watching, hearing, feeling the pain of others. That's what the hard part is. And just waiting for that change. waiting for the change that, one day we could wake up and not have to be like, am I going to die today because I'm going to get pulled over? No, that day when you're going to go into a bank to try to get a home loan. And, you're not going to be thinking that, hey, are they going to approve me because I'm black? Or are they going to, kick me to the curb because they think that I don't have any collateral to put up, or I don't know my way around my finances, So let's, I want to implore y'all to continue being that change that you guys wish to see, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep fighting, stay up. Whoever's listening, if you're watching, please take action. Education is great, but execution is greater.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Those of y'all that look like me, get your asses out there. Those of y'all that are white, those of y'all that look like me, take your phone out, sign some petitions, make some donations, do your motherfucking research before you put out a tweet. And make sure you're making some kind of impact, because ain't nobody going to listen to these people.
Have the hard conversations.
Exactly.
We have hard. You see it's possible. You see it's possible right here. Hard conversations, showing your emotions, crying in front of people, crying in front of, I don't know, but the 20 people that listen to this thing.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with hard conversations. There's nothing wrong with tears. There's nothing wrong with emotions. We all have them. And I feel like what a lot of people fail to realize is that on the other side of that hard conversation, it's understanding, it's comfort, it's a new level or a new view of the world around you. So just have it and just be better and do better.
So we can all be better.
All right. That's a great way to wrap up. Beautiful.
I love you guys.
Love you too, man.
I appreciate you all.
Well, you too, gents. I'm going to text y'all something. I ran across a podcast that I want y'all to listen to.
Oh, definitely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. I said, I don't even know how he got me on it.
I'm glad you showed up, man. I just want to say, I would like to send a warm thank you to Roper for coming out and making this time to come and share your heart and your high intelligence with us, as well as my great friend, Marcel Jones from Georgia. I really thank you for coming out here and spending your time. I know it's late on your end, and I'm sure your wife is ready for you to come to bed. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here with us today. I appreciate you. My brothers, I love you. May God keep you. And please remember, we all are important. We are needed and we're necessary, and we love you.
Love you too, brother. And on that
Z,
note,
go ahead.
On that note, I mean, like I say at the beginning of the show, like I say at the end, raise your glasses, because I want y'all to sit, think, and have a drink. So Have a Drink podcast. Al, have a good night.
Love you.
Love you.
Everybody stay